Hello and welcome to another show of Radio for Small Business, sponsored by HomeBiz.com. Radio for Small Business, we connect, we capitalize, and we go. I'm your host, Eugene Rowe. This is our 6th week broadcasting from the Radio for Small Business, and you're definitely going to like today's show. But before I get into that, I've got to let you know, it's going to be a huge week. Next week, in studio, we're doing a SoFlo radio show. That's right, South Florida radio show. Every guest that steps into Radio for Small Business will be from the South Florida area. Live in studio at our sister station, WSBR, Money Talk Radio, 740 AM. That's going to be raucous, okay? Get a pen and pad, write this number down. You may want to call in and ask some questions of our guests during the show, or maybe even next week. Our Radio for Small Business line, 561-408-1718. 561-408-1718. Now I'm going to read it again, 561-408-1718. That's the Radio for Small Business hotline. If you've got an idea, a question, or anything that you want to get off your chest right here on Radio for Small Business, go ahead, give us a call, 561-408-1718. Now, who's on the show? In a few, Manolis Sfinarolakis. We're going to talk crowdfunding with this guy. He's got a great virtual incubator of crowdfunding network that you're not going to want to miss information for. Plus, Nikki D, VP of Marketing for LULG Beauty, is on the show. But first, somebody from the Shark Tank.
Inside the mind of the owner. Radio for Small Business. Connect, capitalize, go.
Up now on Radio for Small Business, Sharon Bui. You may have seen her on a pretty big show, ABC's Shark Tank, where she swam in and walked out with a deal. Sharon, thanks for taking your time out for Radio for Small Business.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so excited to chat and share about my experience.
Cool. Let's start with your background. Tell us a little bit about yourself personally before we get started.
So I always loved fashion growing up, and I knew I wanted to do something in fashion. I actually wanted to be a buyer at Chanel when I was growing up because I watched The Hills. And so I really wanted to be like Lauren Conrad and Whitney Poore, and that was my dream. And so when I went to school, I studied fashion, and I just knew that I always wanted to do something that had to do with clothing.
So this was a calling for you early on. You didn't have to take too much time to figure out what you wanted to do, right?
Correct.
Great. So let's talk about how you got started in business. How did it all come together with Frill Clothing eventually to make it to ABC's Shark Tank?
So I was a sorority girl in college, and I was tired of being forced to buy these ugly recruitment dresses. And what sorority recruitment is where a chapter tries to recruit new members to join their organization. During that, they wear matching outfits, or they mix and match their outfits. And so when I was in college, I had to spend so much money on buying these outfits that I didn't like, and I didn't think they were trendy, and I never wanted to wear them again. And so I wanted to fix this problem, and that's how I started the business in January 2012 with my business partner.
I think that's pretty cool. Frill Clothing has been in business 2.5, 3 years strong now. And then you decide one day, hey, let's go on ABC's Shark Tank. So I got to ask, who was the insane one to say all of a sudden, hey, we want to raise capital? Who had the intestinal fortitude?
So I watched the show. I was a senior. I was doing an extra victory lap, half victory lap. So I did an extra semester of school. And during that semester, I would watch Shark Tank, and I would watch it before then. And I just always loved the show. And just watching the show, I was like, I bet we could make it on there. And so before I graduated, I promised myself after graduation, I would audition for Shark Tank. And we really thought, the exposure would be great. And we thought that the sharks would really like our idea because it was just really unique and everything. And so we applied in January, and the rest is history, I guess you could say. And preparing, for an investment, we talked to our lawyer, we talked to our accountant, we talked to trusted people in the startup community that have already raised rounds of funding, and asked them, well, how do you do evaluation on your company and what's fair and what's not fair? So that's how we really prepared for it. And, we studied a bunch of questions that we developed for Shark Tank like it was a final exam. And so we knew everything by heart, and we just knew how to answer anything that could come our way.
So once you get on the show, now you're standing in front of the sharks. What's the biggest thing you learned about pitching investors for capital, especially while standing in front of the sharks?
I think the biggest thing is knowing a lot about your business. I mean, going on this show really forced us to learn more about our business than we knew. You know, you think as a startup, you think you know everything about your business because it's everything that you live, eat, and breathe day in and day out. But, you know, just preparing for it, we wanted to be ready. And I guess just it taught us so much about all the nooks and crannies and numbers and percentages and data about our business. And it just, you know, made us better in the future because now I speak to a bunch of groups, whether it's schools or entrepreneurship groups or events. And it's just nice to know all of those facts. Because people want to know that kind of stuff, not just investors. You know, the general public likes to know information about that, especially when they see a startup succeed.
So do you think other college students, juniors, seniors, graduate students could learn quite a bit over and above their college education by maybe inviting you in to pick your brain for a few minutes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mentor student startups right now because I was a student startup, and you know, there wasn't a ton of resources out there for student startups. Luckily, I had some mentors who picked me up and helped me, but I love giving back and I love sharing what I learned with them and, you know, making sure that they don't have to go through some of the things I had to go through or stuff like that. I think it's important to help others, especially once you've made it, you know.
So just in case you're just tuning in, we're talking to Sharon Bui, co-founder of Frill Clothing. You've seen her on ABC's Shark Tank. She's been gracious enough to talk to us about pitching investors, raising capital, and simply basic business practices. But Sharon, I want to take a step back. I know that you mentioned what Frill Clothing is all about. Why don't we play a little game? We'll call it the small pond, not the Shark Tank. So just imagine we're the sharks, or imagine we're the big fish in the small pond. Why don't you make a pitch to us that you would have made directly to the sharks?
So Frill Clothing makes custom sorority recruitment dresses for sororities across the country and in Canada. The reason we do this is because sorority girls during recruitment, they wear matching outfits or they wear mismatching outfits. And for every day of recruitment, which could last anywhere from 3 to 5 days, depending on the school, they need outfits for these days. And so we found a need in this niche market, and we have grown from $500 to a six-figure company.
Now, that's great. My wife and I, as we were watching the show, she's in a sorority, and in the past, she's actually helped other young ladies go through the process that you're talking about. And literally, the quote words out of her mouth were, quote, "they're about to get rich," unquote. So I just want to let you know, my wife definitely believes that you got a great business model, and a great idea. What's next for Frill Clothing now that you're a six-figure company?
So before we were just making clothing for recruitment, skirts and dresses, and now we've expanded to becoming the one-stop sorority shop where sororities can buy anything for any day of recruitment, whether it's t-shirts, hats, tank tops, fanny packs, flower crowns for bid day, monogrammed items. It doesn't matter what it is, you know, jewelry, accessories, whatever they need for recruitment, we've got it for any of their themed days. Aprons, embroidered aprons with their sorority logo on it, and just sorority logo stuff in general, stationery, the list goes on. But not only that, random people, you don't have to be in a wedding and you don't have to be in a sorority to purchase from us. Like I said, we have jewelry and we have monogrammed items, so you don't have to be in a sorority to purchase from us. We have all kinds of gifts you can buy on our website.
Now, that's amazing. And that's good. I, being a guy, didn't realize that the sorority market in the United States was that huge. How big is this market? What are the numbers?
So there are 9 million Greeks, they say, that are either currently affiliated or they're alumni. Currently active, I meant. And then there are sorority houses in the United States and in Canada and all over the world. There are sororities in the UK and in Australia, which I didn't know, which is funny because I didn't know that until I was researching answers for Shark Tank. The recurring market is what is so special about this niche, and as a business, it's just so great. And the greatest thing about our business is the business model, where we don't need a lot of money for materials and costs at the beginning. Like the sorority girls pay us, and then we make their product. They wait like months to get their product, and then we deliver. And what Kevin O'Leary has said to us before is that that's what he loves so much about our business, because there's not a lot of businesses that can say that the customer pays and then waits forever for their product. And so that's what he found as something special about our business.
Okay, just in case you're just tuning in to Radio for Small Business, we're talking to Sharon Bui, co-owner of Frill Clothing. She's talking to us about her experience on ABC's Shark Tank. Sharon, for those who may not have watched the show, why don't you give us a recap? What did you go in asking for valuation-wise? What did you end up getting? Did you get anything at all?
So we went in asking for $20,000 for 100% equity, and Robert offered us exactly what we asked for. At first, Barbara and Kevin offered separately $100,000 for $30K, and then they went in together for 33 or 35%. I can't remember. It was honestly all such a blur. It's almost like they say that your wedding day is a blur, and sometimes I think Shark Tank was a blur. But anyways, so we walked out of there with Barbara Corcoran and Kevin O'Leary, and it was $100,000 for 30% of the company.
So now that professional investors have valued your company at over $300,000, what's it like when you call your college buddies? How's that feel?
It's just surreal, honestly. I mean, just being on a TV show in front of national TV is just kind of, it's all just been a lot to take in. And I'm young. I was only 23 when this all happened and recently graduated from college. So it just, I've never had anybody in my family get such a large investment or be on national TV like that. So the whole thing has just been like a lot to take in. And the people I went to college with are just honestly really proud of me and the business and just proud to know me and really, really supportive.
Awesome. Well, Sharon Bui, co-owner of Frill Clothing, we definitely wish you much success. And you know what? When you get even bigger in business, we'd like to have you back on to Radio for Small Business to talk about that success too. All right?
Absolutely.
Starting a business? Join the Homba Biz Small Business Network. You connect and get info on real deals. Deals and connections that can help you increase cash flow and acquire assets. Everything from private equity to direct sales. Joining is simple and free. Simply open your smartphone and text Biz Blast to 77948. Text BIZ Blast to 77948. Standard messaging charges may apply. Here's to getting to know you better. Homba Biz Small Business Network. Connect. Capitalize. Go.
Ladies, ever wondered if there's a true online community that'll give you premium skincare and cosmetics perks specifically for the mature woman who values prestige? LULG Beauty is the place. Our Facebook page is now the home of almost 400 like-minded women, and we'd love for you to join us. Like us on Facebook by searching for LULG Beauty. That's LULG Beauty. You'll get premium beauty news, celebrity skincare secrets, and be among the first to know the latest trends. Like us on Facebook by searching for LULG Beauty. That's LULG Beauty. Check us out. Discover the season's top trends. Take advantage of opportunities to try great new products. Even explore new ways to bring out a more radiant you. Joining is simple and free. Simply like us on Facebook by searching for LULG Beauty. That's LULG Beauty. LULG Beauty. Premium skincare and cosmetics perks for the mature woman who values prestige and true beauty.
When it comes to eating the right things, it seems like everyone has great advice. But do they ever stick around to help with the hard choices? RightIntake.com is a new online community that's focused on the education of our members to teach them the right way to go about nutrition. Every week, articles from leading nutritionists and trainers will break down the barriers of nutrition information in a way that's simple, practical, and informative. Topics will cover things that are actually important to you. Things like protein intake, B12 vitamins, prostate health, vitamins, supplements, and more. With RightIntake.com, you can stay on top of your nutritional goals quickly and easily. You can even sign up to get weekly notices of new articles right on your smartphone. Joining is absolutely free and easy. Visit RightIntake.com today, right away. Visit RightIntake.com. That's RightIntake.com. And discover more optimal living through better intake. RightIntake.com. Living life now.
Are you a local business owner who'd like to talk about your business on air? If so, meet the all-new Radio for Small Business show. At Radio for Small Business, we believe in building responsible and profitable business networks with the local community. Ideas, promotions, deals, and insights are what we value, so let us know what's on your mind. Text business to 77948. That's business to 77948, and we'll reach out to you personally. Plus, if we can get you onto the show, we will. We don't charge fees to be on Radio for Small Business. So send us a text. Text business to 77948. Text business to 77948. It's that simple. Standard messaging charges may apply. We look forward to servicing and partnering with you. Radio for Small Business, every Saturday at 10 a.m. Who knows, maybe you can join us next week. Text business to 77948. Text business to 77948. Radio for Small Business. Connect, capitalize, go.
Welcome back to Radio for Small Business, Saturday morning, broadcasting out of WSBR 740 AM Money Talk Radio. I'm your host, Eugene Rowe, on Radio for Small Business, sponsored by HombaBiz.com. That's HOMBABIZ.com. Got lots more to come. Nikki D, VP of Marketing with LULG Beauty, is on the show in a minute. Plus, one of my favorite times, direct sales. And I've got to remind you, next week, a SoFlo radio show where every guest on Radio for Small Business is going to be from the South Florida area. Right now, I've got to kick it to my next guest. He's looking to be a major player with crowdfunding.
Inside the mind of the owner. Radio for Small Business. Connect, capitalize, go.
Manolis Sfinarolakis is owner, founder, creator, CEO, the man. Okay, the man at Reality Crowd TV, and he's taking time out right now. Manolis, thanks for your time.
Eugene, it's a pleasure to be on the show. Excited to be here and excited to provide some value to your audience.
Now, tell us a little bit about your background before we get into crowdfunding and your business and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So I'm a son, first-generation American, Greek American. Both my parents were born in Greece, and they started a restaurant here like typical Greeks do, and worked through that, and really just am a big believer in work ethic and working smart and hard, not working hard and not smart. It's both. And from those humble beginnings, I graduated college, went to University of Connecticut, and I always, had a little thirst for entrepreneurship early on in the restaurant business. And so after dabbling in corporate America, I couldn't take being kind of confined in that environment, so to speak. And
Gotcha.
So, little by little, I started getting into entrepreneurship, and that's why I'm here today with Reality Crowd TV.
Awesome. Now, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but what's one of the things you hated most about being in corporate America, knowing that you were going to launch a magnificent crowdfunding site?
Well, corporate America is great, but it's not for everyone. Some people enjoy the security and the predictability of corporate America,
Mm-hmm.
but the millennial generation, I'm 31 years old, and I tend to joke, kind of like the last of the Mohicans, I'm the first of the millennials. I found that we like to express ourselves. We like to share our ideas. And when you do that in a corporate environment, especially when you're the new guy on the block, it's not really taken in a positive light.
Right.
People feel threatened by it. And so if you're an idea person, you either have to swallow your ideas or face the consequences when you share them. And I knew that I couldn't be confined, and I had to find a way to launch a company and share my ideas with the world.
That's pretty awesome. So you come up with your crowdfunding site. And, well, let's take a step back for some of the listeners who may not necessarily know what crowdfunding is. So can you give us a quick definition or synopsis of what crowdfunding is and what it means to an individual investor?
Sure. So I like to explain it this way. Take the concept of passing around the basket at church, where a group of individuals contribute to an individual or organization with a need. Put that concept online, apply it to things other than charities, such as small businesses, technology, music, film, art, etc., and you have crowdfunding.
Wow. So I, as a regular person who has some extra cash, now, don't you have to be accredited, or aren't there some exceptions with the Jobs Act that allows non-accredited investors to invest in crowdfunding?
Yes, so there's two types of crowdfunding. The majority of people probably know of the Kickstarter and Indiegogo model, which is a contribution in exchange for a reward. In that model, there is no equity exchange.
Okay.
There is no return on investment. But because of the actual amazing traction that form of crowdfunding had, and that started back in 2009, because of that amazing traction, the government said, if it works for a donation in exchange for a reward, can it work for an investment in a private company in exchange for shares and ultimately a return on investment? So what you were just explaining to your audience, Eugene, was the government passed the 2012 Jobs Act, which is now allowing for equity and debt-based crowdfunding for startups and other ventures to come to light.
Okay.
Regarding your mention of accredited investor, for your audience, an accredited investor is basically a wealthy individual who makes $200,000 a year or is worth $1 million in net worth, excluding the value of their personal home.
Okay.
Prior to about 2 weeks ago, the only investors who could actually invest in these crowdfunded company offerings were these wealthy individuals. However, as a startup, you could still raise money from wealthy people. You didn't have to be wealthy in order to actually, raise money for your own business. But if you wanted to invest in one of these businesses, you had to be wealthy and be an accredited investor. But 2 weeks ago, the government passed the next version of this law. And within, I think it's about 2 months to 45 days from now, anyone, regardless of income, will soon be able to invest in a private company through the online method of crowdfunding.
Gotcha. Now, just in case you're just tuning in, we're talking to Manolis Sfinarolakis. He's creator, CEO, founder of Reality Crowd TV, and we're talking about crowdfunding and some of the basics. And Manolis, you know that it's obvious that most people aren't heavyweights in the crowdfunding atmosphere, but you realized this and created something where even the non-accredited investor can find out a little more about crowdfunding and how to get started, right?
Absolutely. What we found over the last year and a half that we started our company, we started back in December of 2013, was that there was, even though it's been around for, let's say, since 2009 and in some cases earlier, the majority of people still have no clue or awareness. Whether they're an entrepreneur, they don't know how to raise capital through this mechanism. Whether they're an investor looking to invest in a company, they don't know how to actually vet and review and understand the financial statement. So between those two sides, the investors who need education to invest and the entrepreneurs who need to raise money for their companies, we created this virtual incubator concept. We call it VICN, V-I-C-N, the Virtual Incubator and Crowdfunding Network. And it's operating as the Quora of crowdfunding, where individuals can essentially ask a question, and the community of their peers, as well as some mentors that we had join, will answer the questions, and it allows an entrepreneur and an investor to virtually incubate their concepts and their education.
Well, and that's a great thing because, since crowdfunding is really so new in comparison to the stock markets and things like that, people want to know how they can get involved. So I think that's a great thing. Let's go back a bit because we were talking about accredited investors versus non-accredited investors. I think it's safe to assume, though, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, someone who's raising funds, you actually don't have to be accredited in order to say, hey, give me money, correct?
That is correct, and that is really a key point that I always try to emphasize when I share this. It's an amazing thing what's happening in the investing world in crowdfunding. Startups have it really, really good because in the past, you had to know a wealthy individual. You had to know an accredited investor personally. If I was a business owner, I had to know a wealthy individual in order to solicit investment from him and his friends. And so I couldn't stand in front of a conference or a room and say, hey, everybody, I have startup ABC. Here's my bank account information. Please invest in my startup. If you did that in a room of people you didn't know, you would be breaking securities laws and you would be going to jail.
That's right.
It was illegal to actually broadcast that way. But now that the Jobs Act passed, businesses are able to generally solicit to both accredited investors and soon to be the unaccredited, the people who are not at the wealth threshold. So as long as that solicitation is done through the use of a crowdfunding website where you're posting your deal or your offering, as long as it's done through there and all the technical compliance and vetting procedures are done by the crowdfunding portal, you can use social media, you can use radio, TV, you can go out and generally solicit so long as you're not blatantly lying in your advertisement.
Right.
Like you can't say, I got the next Google, invest in me,
right.
Yeah, as long as you're being responsible about your advertising, you can generally solicit for investment to anyone now.
So that's going to open up a lot of windows and doors for small businesses and local communities. Where do you see crowdfunding being able to help the local communities on the micro level?
Sure. I mean, for the entrepreneur and the investor, it's obvious, but I want to share a little bit less obvious part of this. So as an entrepreneur, of course, there's going to be more opportunities to raise capital. For an investor, there's going to be more opportunities to invest in the next best startup. But in the communities themselves, we have to think of it this way. Even if your company or you personally cannot raise funding through this crowdfunding methodology, the money that is going to be put into the communities where these startups live, these people are going to have to hire employees. These people are going to have to hire consulting firms or other small startups and purchase services from them to help them reach their goals and their actual commitments to their investors based on what was agreed upon.
Right.
So even if you can't directly benefit from the crowdfunding industry, indirectly, additional small business and additional capital will help all the communities where this capital is being raised, because all these people are going to be spending, and there's going to be more additional capital to get more jobs in the community. And then, of course, you have that spiral effect where now people have jobs and they're spending more, and things just continue to go from there. But that's the key that I want to really share with your audience, is even if you cannot directly use this yourself, you will receive ancillary benefits, and you should look at it from the perspective of, how can I benefit from this new movement that is sweeping the nation?
Wow. And just in case you're just tuning in, we're talking to Manolis Sfinarolakis, creator of Reality Crowd TV, talking to him about crowdfunding and things like that. Manolis, why don't you tell the listeners how they can get a hold of you to find out more information?
Sure. So our main website is realityproudtv.com, but I'm also going to provide you at the end of the show with another website. It really is the best way to engage would be to join Vicken, the virtual incubator and crowdfunding network. It is a free social networking site. It's a community of people helping each other learn more about the crowdfunding process. And if there's ever a place to go, that would be the best place for you to go to start your journey within the crowdfunding movement.
Gotcha. And why don't you tell us, since we're kind of winding down now, why don't you tell us how to get to that social networking site?
Sure. So the site would be incubator.realitycrowdtv.com.
Incubator.realitycrowdtv.com.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, Manolis, I definitely appreciate your time. I'm pretty sure our listeners are going to appreciate it. We wish you much success in the near future, and we hope to have you back on soon talking about some great success stories.
Absolutely, Eugene, and thank you again. What you do to share information to your audience is much appreciated, and anything I can do to help you guys, just please let me know.
Thank you. Awesome.
Starting a business? Join the Homba Biz Small Business Network. You connect and get info on real deals. Deals and connections that can help you increase cash flow and acquire assets. Everything from private equity to direct sales. Joining is simple and free. Simply open your smartphone and text Biz Blast to 77948. Text BIZ Blast to 77948. Standard messaging charges may apply. Here's to getting to know you better. Homba Biz Small Business Network. Connect. Capitalize. Go.
Ladies, ever wondered if there's a true online community that'll give you premium skincare and cosmetics perks specifically for the mature woman who values prestige? LULG Beauty is the place. Our Facebook page is now the home of almost 400 like-minded women, and we'd love for you to join us. Like us on Facebook by searching for LULG Beauty. That's LULG Beauty. You'll get premium beauty news, celebrity skincare secrets, and be among the first to know the latest trends. Like us on Facebook by searching for LULG Beauty. That's LULG Beauty. Check us out. Discover the season's top trends. Take advantage of opportunities to try great new products. Even explore new ways to bring out a more radiant you. Joining is simple and free. Simply like us on Facebook by searching for LULG Beauty. That's LULG Beauty. LULG Beauty. Premium skincare and cosmetics perks for the mature woman who values prestige and true beauty.
When it comes to eating the right things, it seems like everyone has great advice. But do they ever stick around to help with the hard choices? RightIntake.com is a new online community that's focused on the education of our members to teach them the right way to go about nutrition. Every week, articles from leading nutritionists and trainers will break down the barriers of nutrition information in a way that's simple, practical, and informative. Topics will cover things that are actually important to you. Things like protein intake, B12 vitamins, prostate health, vitamins, supplements, and more. With RightIntake.com, you can stay on top of your nutritional goals quickly and easily. You can even sign up to get weekly notices of new articles right on your smartphone. Joining is absolutely free and easy. Visit RightIntake.com today, right away. Visit RightIntake.com. That's RightIntake.com. And discover more optimal living through better intake. RightIntake.com. Living life now.
Are you a local business owner who'd like to talk about your business on air? If so, meet the all-new Radio for Small Business show. At Radio for Small Business, we believe in building responsible and profitable business networks with the local community. Ideas, promotions, deals, and insights are what we value, so let us know what's on your mind. Text business to 77948. That's business to 77948, and we'll reach out to you personally. Plus, if we can get you onto the show, we will. We don't charge fees to be on Radio for Small Business. So send us a text. Text business to 77948. Text business to 77948. It's that simple. Standard messaging charges may apply. We look forward to servicing and partnering with you. Radio for Small Business, every Saturday at 10 a.m. Who knows, maybe you can join us next week. Text business to 77948. Text business to 77948. Radio for Small Business. Connect, capitalize, go.
And a good Saturday morning to you. It's Eugene Rowe, your host of Radio for Small Business. Radio for Small Business is hosted by HombaBiz.com, HombaBiz.com. Make sure you check them out. They are great sponsors. We love them quite a lot. Plus, in case I had not mentioned yet, just in case I have not told you, next weekend on Radio for Small Business, it's a SoFlo radio show. Every guest on Radio for Small Business next week will be from the South Florida area, including Bill Ketchum, VP of Franchising at Midas and Big O Tires. We've got more to come. We're still booking the guest list. Lots more to go. Maybe you got a business and you'd like to be on the show. Do this. Text the word business to 77948. That's the word business to 77948. I know that's an odd number. It's what you call one of those short codes numbers. So you literally just pull out your smartphone, you go to your messaging app, and in the to field, you put these numbers, 77948. In the body of the text message, put the word business. I, Eugene Rowe, will reach out to you personally, and we'll see if we can get you on the SoFlo radio show on Radio for Small Business next Saturday, where every guest is from the South Florida area. Now, guys, don't tune out, because as you know, looking good and feeling good is worth big money. And I've got a special guest right here.
Inside the mind of the owner. Radio for Small Business. Connect, capitalize, go.
Nikki D is Vice President of Marketing and Sales at LULG Beauty. How do you pronounce that? LULG. I know it's funny. LULG Beauty. LULGbeauty.com. Nikki, welcome to Radio for Small Business.
Hi, how are you?
I'm just great. Now tell us a little bit about your background first before we get too much into business.
Well, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, born and raised. I was educated there and stayed there for high school and college.
Okay.
I attended the University of North Florida, where I have a bachelor's degree in management.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of graduated and moved into the corporate world like everybody else does when they graduate.
Right out of college. Tell us a little bit about your corporate experience now.
Well, I have a background in benefit administration. So I kind of leverage that and use that.
So you cut the checks when it comes to the 401ks and pensions?
Not exactly.
But you know where the money comes from, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's what I like to hear. So you've been in benefits administration for how many years?
For about 17 years now.
Wow, 17 years. And at what point, because usually if someone's in corporate America that long, they tend to, favor security, stability of a corporate world. How long was it before you ended up starting your own businesses, one of them being LULG Beauty?
Well, actually, I started LULG Beauty maybe 12 years ago now.
Wow. So you've been in business for a hot minute. Plus, you're highly educated. Now that we know a little bit about LULG Beauty on Facebook, why don't you tell us a little bit about the way you guys operate online?
LULG Beauty is on Facebook, and it's basically a social media outlet to give beauty tips, fashion tips. It's not just strictly beauty tips. How can I be pretty today?
Okay.
Fashion tips as well, because people want to know, they want to be, well, I know I want to be fashionista, so hey,
Gotcha.
Why not?
Kind of like a Mexinista, is that right? Not quite the same thing.
No.
Okay, so LULG Beauty, you give the tips, but outside of LULG Beauty on Facebook, almost 400 people, might I add, are a member of your Facebook Facebook community, correct?
Yeah, that's cool.
So outside of that, do you actually sell skincare, cosmetics, beauty items?
Actually, I do. I'm affiliated with a direct sales company.
Okay.
So that we channel or distribute products as through them, using them as a parent company.
Okay. And in that time, how do you guys do your marketing and make your sales? What major channels do you use?
Well, some of the major channels that we use, obviously, ding ding, no brainer, referrals.
Okay.
Referrals and consumer outlets like trade shows and beauty shows.
Okay. Wow. So you guys are not just some small potatoes thing. I know you may do the at-home parties being a direct sales business, but it sounds like you've taken the step even bigger than that and moved into conventions and things like that. Tell us that experience of walking onto the convention center floor the first day.
Well, you kind of have to think outside the box, and at first it's kind of overwhelming, but once you get there and you figure out what works, what's going to work in that type of big environment, and you just find a flow. You find a natural flow in talking with people, educating people, and just answering the questions.
Now, just in case you're just tuning in to Radio for Small Business, we're talking to Nikki D, VP of Marketing with LULG Beauty. Nikki, how do you spell? It's a funny way you spell it. How do you spell lulgbeauty.com?
lulgbeauty.com. LUL is actually spelled LULG.
So the G is silent.
The G is silent.
Ah, that's kind of cool. LULG Beauty gives it a nice premium type feel.
Right, like a chic feel. That's what we wanted. That was the goal. So good job.
Gotcha. So we're talking to Nicole D, VP of Marketing with LULG Beauty, and she has a number of other businesses. If you'd like to ask her some questions, ladies, maybe some beauty tips real quick. I know this is a business show, all right? So we'll keep the beauty questions to a minimum, but you can dial us right now at 561-408-1718. That's the Radio for Small Business Studios, 561-408-1718. Now, let's switch it up because I know we've been talking about beauty. Now let's talk about something that even the guys can get excited about. Let's talk about money. Tell us how you make money in your businesses.
Oh, well, because it's direct sales, right? You're cutting out the middleman. It's basically what you're doing. And you make money being that outlet for customers directly.
Mm-hmm.
And you're your own boss, so you set your own prices. We have the ability to do that.
So what types of companies do you work with when you're doing direct sales?
The parent company is basically a company that's been around for probably over 5 decades now, who put research and technology into the production of the product.
Gotcha.
So the products that you're receiving are premium brand products. And when I say premium brand products, I'm talking specifically about the grade level of the ingredients, so to speak, in the product.
Gotcha.
So, and they design the products this way because they want to make sure that you get what you're paying for. If it says it's going to make you pretty today, I mean, that's what they want it to do. The results are guaranteed.
Was it scary going from being a corporate person to being in business as a direct sales business owner?
Oh, absolutely. Because quite naturally, being in the corporate arena for so long, you obviously develop an employee mentality.
Okay.
So you kind of have to retrain your brains to get yourself to understand that you are the business owner. You are in charge. You don't have to follow anybody else's rules. You can make your own.
Nikki D, VP of Marketing with LULG Beauty and business owner extraordinaire from Jacksonville, Florida. We're talking to her right now about not just business, but the beauty business and how you make money. So if you got a question, give us a call really quick, and we'll see if we can get you on during the break. The number's 561-408-1718. Get out a pen and a sheet of paper and write down the Radio for Small Business number. It's 561-408-1718. Nikki D will take your questions right now on Radio for Small Business. Nikki D, VP of Marketing with LULG Beauty. Thanks for taking your time out.
You're welcome.
Starting a business? Join the Homba Biz Small Business Network. You connect and get info on real deals. Deals and connections that can help you increase cash flow and acquire assets. Everything from private equity to direct sales. Joining is simple and free. Simply open your smartphone and text Biz Blast to 77948. Text BIZ Blast to 77948. Standard messaging charges may apply. Here's to getting to know you better. Homba Biz Small Business Network. Connect. Capitalize. Go.
Ladies, ever wondered if there's a true online community that'll give you premium skincare and cosmetics perks specifically for the mature woman who values prestige? LULG Beauty is the place. Our Facebook page is now the home of almost 400 like-minded women, and we'd love for you to join us. Like us on Facebook by searching for LULG Beauty. That's LULG Beauty. You'll get premium beauty news, celebrity skincare secrets, and be among the first to know the latest trends. Like us on Facebook by searching for LUL Beauty. That's LULG Beauty. Check us out. Discover the season's top trends. Take advantage of opportunities to try great new products. Even explore new ways to bring out a more radiant you. Joining is simple and free. Simply like us on Facebook by searching for LUL Beauty. That's LULG Beauty. LUL Beauty. Premium skincare and cosmetics perks for the mature woman who values prestige and true beauty.
When it comes to eating the right things, it seems like everyone has great advice. But do they ever stick around to help with the hard choices? RightIntake.com is a new online community that's focused on the education of our members to teach them the right way to go about nutrition. Every week, articles from leading nutritionists and trainers will break down the barriers of nutrition information in a way that's simple, practical, and informative. Topics will cover things that are actually important to you. Things like protein intake, B12 vitamins, prostate health, vitamins, supplements, and more. With RightIntake.com, you can stay on top of your nutritional goals quickly and easily. You can even sign up to get weekly notices of new articles right on your smartphone. Joining is absolutely free and easy. Visit RightIntake.com today, right away. Visit RightIntake.com. That's RightIntake.com. And discover more optimal living through better intake. RightIntake.com. Living life now.
Are you a local business owner who'd like to talk about your business on air? If so, meet the all-new Radio for Small Business show. At Radio for Small Business, we believe in building responsible and profitable business networks with the local community. Ideas, promotions, deals, and insights are what we value, so let us know what's on your mind. Text business to 77948. That's business to 77948, and we'll reach out to you personally. Plus, if we can get you onto the show, we will. We don't charge fees to be on Radio for Small Business. So send us a text. Text business to 77948. Text business to 77948. It's that simple. Standard messaging charges may apply. We look forward to servicing and partnering with you. Radio for Small Business, every Saturday at 10 a.m. Who knows, maybe you can join us next week. Text business to 77948. Text business to 77948. Radio for Small Business. Connect, capitalize, go.
Well, it's still a great Saturday morning on Radio for Small Business. Your host, Eugene Rowe here, sponsored by HombaBiz.com. That's HOMBABIZ.com. I am so excited about the way the show has been going. This is our 6th week broadcasting out of WSBR Money Talk Radio, 740 a.m. in Boca Raton, Florida. We're loving the South Florida area so far. I've actually even got to give a thank you to the guests that we've had so far on the show today. Okay, Shark Tank business owner Sharon Bui of Frill Clothing, Manolis Sfinarolakis, crowdfunding expert, and Nikki D, VP of Marketing for LUL Beauty, one of our advertisers right here on Radio for Small Business. Although we're new to town, we hope to provide a big benefit for the local area. That's why our slogan is Connect, Capitalize, Go, right here on Radio for Small Business. So if you've got ideas for the show, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call. Our number's local, 561-408-1718. 561-408-1718. Now, we didn't bother to get a toll-free number, and, well, that's because most long distance is free or on the cell phone these days anyway. So we're going to keep it simple for South Florida, 561-408-1718. That's the number to the Radio for Small Business studio. Give us a shout. Tell us what you'd like to hear on Radio for Small Business. You may be able to already tell that we like bringing on guests who really understand their business. We like to talk from the mind of the business owner, not necessarily the mind of simply a speaker, not necessarily from the mind of someone who has a lot of head knowledge, but from someone who's actually been in the game, someone who's actually taken money out of their pocket, money that it took them hours to earn, maybe even in a corporate job. What we're about here at Radio for Small Business is making the small business owner the rock star. That's right, the rock star. Small businesses are the bed of the United States economy, and I'd be able to bet that they're probably the rock bed of any economy that's going to be thriving anywhere in the world. Radio for small business, that's what we're about. We are not about simply giving some cool saying, some cool slogan to get you to buy this or to get you to buy that. We want you to understand the mentality, the business owner mentality from the mind of the business owner. Why does the show even exist? I know you're saying, why is Eugene Rowe even on Radio for Small Business right now? I'll tell you why. I'm a small business owner myself. Direct sales. That's right, direct sales. You can actually see lots of direct sales businesses in the market. But when I started my business, after being a radio DJ for about 8 years, I realized that most of the stuff that's on radio, my opinion, right? Most of it's garbage. And I spent 8 years playing that garbage to people, not giving them any real value for the time that they spent listening. Well, this is my do-over. This is Eugene Rowe's chance to make amends and to do something good. Radio for Small Business is about the small business owner. That's why I'm here. Why am I on the radio? Even though I'm a direct sales business owner, radio just happened to be a talent that I thought would be able to give value into the community. So connect with us. Give us a call and let us know what you'd like to hear on Radio for Small Business. 561-408-1718. 561-408-1718. That's the number to the Radio for Small Business show line, 561-408-1718. It's local. Even if you're not local to the Boca Raton area or the 561 area code, don't worry about it. Most long-distance calling is free these days anyway. You can pick up a cell phone, and most cell phone plans have free long distance. Okay? So give us a call. And even on top of that, why don't you join our text club? Why? Before I tell you to join the text club. Because next Saturday on Radio for Small Business, next Saturday is a SoFlo radio show. Every person on the radio show is going to be from the South Florida area. We've already secured Bill Ketchum, VP of Franchising with Big O and Midas Tires. I've got a couple real estate guys and girls that I think we can get into the studio. We've only got an hour. So I tell you what, maybe you can help me out. If you've got a small business or you know of a small business that may be able to come on to Radio for Small Business, promote their business and talk about business owner mentality, give us a call. 561-408-1718. 561-408-1718. Radio for Small Business. I'm your host, Eugene Rowe, sponsored by HomeBiz.com. Now, why is the slogan for the show Connect, Capitalize, Go? Because that's what we want to do. As a direct sales business owner, I don't just want to sell you a bunch of crap. I don't just want to get on the radio and say, buy, make me rich, make me rich. That's not in my nature. I'd like to build the right relationships with the right potential partners, with the right potential customers, so that long term, we can have a fruitful, mutual business relationship. Now, a lot of people think that's hardcore. I'm sorry if you do. The fact is that radio time is expensive, and I don't have time to beat around the bush. Radio for Small Business is going to stand for something. You mark my words. South Florida is our first stop. We're going all the way up the East Coast. And I want to work with the best people in the best place. So give us a call, 561-408-1718. Let me know if there's a business. Maybe it's yours. Maybe it's a friend's. Maybe it's not even a business yet. Maybe it's a friend who's starting a business. Maybe it's you who's starting a business. Let us know about you. Let's connect. Let's bring South Florida and even Florida, and eventually we can all take over the world. How about that? I know it's ambitious. Nevertheless, we're here now and we can connect. So I know you're wondering, why does a direct sales guy go on the radio and actually talk to other business owners about their business when he actually should and could talk about his own business for an entire hour or 2 hours or 3 hours? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about me. Born in 1976, I'm about 39 years old. Wife tells me that I'm one step closer, to 40, which I am. It's actually a long way away in months terms, at least another 10 months. But I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida. Worked in radio for 8 years, urban radio. And just in case you don't know what urban radio is typically hip-hop music, rap music. My mom used to call it the boom, the music. But I did that for about 8 years. And I realized that even as I was playing it, that I personally inside felt like I owed the community a bit more. That's a little bit about my background. From there, I got fired out of radio. Oh yeah, Eugene Rowe got fired. Everybody gets fired out of radio. In fact, you haven't been in radio until you've been fired at least twice. Okay. From there, went into the corporate America. I had to actually stay there for a little while longer and still am there in some aspects. Went into corporate America, and it just so happened that one of the companies that I was working with happened to be one of the market leaders when it came to handling distressed homes and foreclosed homes. In fact, their computer systems and networks, if you will, housed up to 50% of the mortgages in the United States of America. I actually worked in their operations department, plus writing some procedures that lawyers sometimes would use in court, that even operators would use prior to court. From there, began working at a major financial institution, and I said, you know what? It's time. It's time to get on radio for small business and do something good. Our sponsors, HombaBiz.com, HOMBABIZ. They've got our full backing. We've got their full backing, and that's why we're here. So listen, now that I bought this whole radio show to South Florida just to sell you some crap, I don't know if you can say crap on the radio. Richard, if I can't say crap, please beep it out. Okay? But if you're interested in partnering and maybe supporting a small business that's trying to add value to your community, please give me a call and let's connect. 561-408-1718. 561-408-1718. That's the Radio for Small Business show hotline and show office. Okay? Looking forward to talking to you. Radio for Small Business. That number again, 561-408-1718. Now, as we wrap up, I definitely want to say thanks again to Sharon Bui, co-owner of Frill Clothing. You may have seen her on ABC's Shark Tank. She walked in with it and got a deal. She and her co-founder got a deal that valued their company at over $300,000. Then we had Manolis Sfinarolakis on the show. Manolis talked about his virtual incubator for Crowdfunding network. You want to check that out. It's called Vicken. Plus, finally, one of our advertisers, LULG Beauty, spelled LULG Beauty, came on. Nikki D, VP of Marketing, did a great job. Now, it was her first interview. Cut her some slack. All right? But that's what being a business owner is about. That's what being a business owner is all about. It's not about being flashy. It's not about being polished. It's about getting things done. And that's what we do here with Radio for Small Business. So let's connect. 561-408-1718. Next week's show is going to be so awesome. It's a SoFlo radio show on Radio for Small Business. Every person on Radio for Small Business next week will be from the South Florida area. We've already secured Bill Ketchum, VP of Franchising with Big O and Midas Tires. That's huge. I've got a couple real estate names that we're talking to right now that are going to probably shock you. Huge heavyweights when it comes to YouTube. But we'll make sure we tune you in next Saturday, 10 a.m. Radio for Small Business, radioforsmallbusiness.com. Eugene Rowe, your host. Talk to you soon.